One of the most common questions I get asked is, what is your work-life balance like as a commercial pilot? So what I've done is I've collated 3 separate calendars and drafted them up on Google Calendars so that I can show you guys what life might look like if you decide to become a short-haul pilot in the UK. So I've drafted this from multiple different friends of mine who are pilots. However, everything that I say in this video is from my own experience, knowledge and expertise. It has no association to any airline that I work for or have worked for in the past. All it is a rough guideline for you guys as to what to expect when it comes to being a short haul pilot and what the work-life balance might look like for yourself. And it is simply to provide you with some knowledge and some insight as to what that might look like. So without further ado, we'll jump straight into it. And what we have here is a typical schedule for the month of May. Now, I'm going to walk you through each day so that you know what the symbols mean and what the letters mean. And I've only really quickly drafted it up, but this is the general terminology that most airlines would use. So as you can see, D/O will probably allude to day off. So that is your days off. When you see the D/O, you can expect that's going to be your day off, and you can do whatever you want in those days off. That is your time entirely. So what I do is I do this, so I help you guys. What I used to do is I used to play Warzone. I used to play on the PlayStation all the time with my mates who were also pilots. And sometimes if I see, for example, here we have 4 days off, what I would do is book a holiday with my staff travel so that I can go and enjoy a couple of days away somewhere else. I've had a block like this and I literally just jetted out to Morocco to just chill for a few days. So that is a very, very viable solution to your problem of having too much time off. You can do whatever you want with it. The staff travel is available for you as well, so you can use that too. But the beauty of it is that you can do whatever you want with your days off. Then, as you can see, is next we have LTN to Fuerteventura. So that means Luton to Fuerteventura. And what that is a flight to Fuerteventura and back. So you can't see the end of that, but it means Luton, Fuerteventura, and then back. So you can expect to do that kind of flight in the course of a day. So maybe a report time of about 7 a.m. and then you finish at around 7 p.m. sorry. So that is how the day works, probably about a 12-hour day or so. And then you can see the next day you go to Antalya. So Luton to Ait, which is Antalya, and back. And again, probably about a 12-hour day or so. So you can expect that Friday, Saturday is when you're going to be working. Then you have a Luton to Ibiza. And this is one of the busiest schedules because this is in May, which is a summer period. Luton and Ibiza is a shorter flight times of around 2 hours, 2.5 hours or so, depending on whether you've got a headwind or a tailwind, whatnot. So that you'll do on the Sunday. Then on Monday you have Luton to, I believe that's London Gatwick, but that is probably not a viable flight to do. However, it says London Gatwick, so you can expect to work on Monday. Luton to London Gatwick, that might be a positioning, I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, this isn't my schedule, this is just a drafted schedule that I've taken from other pilots. Then Tuesday we have Luton to Edinburgh, and then Edinburgh probably back to Luton, which is a very short flight, as you can imagine, because it's domestic. So you'll be done by probably midday if it's an early morning flight. And then you have the rest of the week off up until Saturday again. So you have 3 more days to do whatever you want for those 3 days. And then you're back in on Saturday. Now, how this tends to work, you will do a maximum of probably 5 duty days. And as you can see here, this is 5 duty days. Generally, in most airlines, that's what you do in the UK. You can obviously go up to about 6 days of duty days. However, you won't tend to operate all 6 duty days. And what that means is you'll operate probably up to a maximum of 5 days in a block of work, if you see what I mean. However, if I was to just, I'm stopping it here. If I was to compare this to a 9 to 5 work schedule, what you'll probably see is rather than having 2 days off on Saturday and Sunday, and working 5 days. So I've worked 5 days here, but then I've got 3 days off. And not only that, before that, I had 4 days off. And that's not because of leave or anything like that. That's literally because that's just been rostered. So I've got 3 days off here, and then I have 3 days of work again. So this is Luton to Belfast, and then Belfast back to Luton. And then you get an early standby, which basically effectively means if someone calls in sick or isn't able to work, then you will replace that person. So you'll take over the flight. So you have to be within a certain distance of the airport to be able to do that. So if, for example, your airport, if you're based in Luton, for example, but you live really, really far away, which could take you up to like 2.5 hours, then what you'd have to do on that early standby is drive a little bit closer so that you're within about 1.5 hours or so from the airport. However, if you live right next to an airport, then, and the airport that you're operating from, then you can just stay at home the whole day. So you can stay at home until someone calls you. Then when you get called, you go out, and you're getting paid to stay at home. You're getting paid to be well rested. You're getting paid to watch Netflix, do whatever you need to do whilst you're doing this early standby. I tend to try and just update my logbook or do something productive like this on an early standby, or any standby for that matter. Usually on an early standby as well, you'll find that the starting time for that early standby is at 3 a.m. in the morning, because it is to cater for the early departures, which are at around 5 a.m. So I tend to be asleep at this time with my phone ready next to my bedside table in case the phone rings. So sometimes I've been asleep and then I hear the phone ring and it wakes me up, and then I answer it, and then they say to me, you know, we need you for a flight to Edinburgh. So what I'll do is, okay, I'll be there in about 2 hours, and then I hang up, I get ready, and then I go to the airport. So generally you can do whatever you want in the early standbys as long as you are available to operate a flight. So there we go, we have one early standby and then another early standby, and then 2 days off again. So you worked 3 days and then got 2 days off. A 9 to 5, you work 5 days and then you get 2 days off. And these early standbys, like I said, you're at home, so effectively, as long as you don't get called, those are 2 days off as well. So actually, from the 8th of May till the 13th of May, I've worked 1 day. And that's how many days? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 days I've worked 1 day. Or gone out of my house 1 day. Then you have 2 days off, followed by Luton to Tenerife, then Luton to Dalaman, then Luton to Alicante, then Luton to Jersey, and these are Luton and back. Luton to Dalaman and back. So that's probably a longer work block again. It's 4 days of work, followed by 2 days off with a late standby. Then Luton to Las Palmas, Luton to Charles de Gaulle, then day off. And what this is an airport duty. So that means you just sit in the airport. If you're needed for a flight, then you'll go out for that flight if and when they need you. However, more often than not, you're the last call of action. So for example, what they'll use first, if they can, is the standby crew. So this is a late standby. So what they'd say to the standby guys is, can you be there in 2 hours? And then they'll say, okay, yeah, we can. However, if they've exhausted all the standbys, or the flight is going to be delayed. So for example, this late standby, you need at least a minimum amount of time to be called out. So if that minimum amount of time will delay the flight to the point where the rest of the crew cannot operate, then what they'll use instead is an airport duty standby. So what they'll do is call someone that's already in the airport, because the delay would only be about 5 minutes for the person to go from the crew room to the gate or stand, wherever the aircraft is. So that will reduce the delay, if you see what I mean. So you'll be used as a worst case solution. So most of the time when I was doing airport duties, I would literally just be sat in the airport having a coffee, filling out my logbook, doing whatever I needed to do, sometimes watching some Netflix, just being ready in case the phone rings that I'm called out to do a flight. But generally you'll find that you're the last port of call. So yeah, you have a day off in between all of this, and then the airport duty, and then 2 more flights. I think that's to Prague and then to Lisbon, and then another 3 days off. So if I was to tally up all the days off in this month, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 days off in 31 days. So you've actually worked 16 days in a month, but then also those 16 days have been broken up by standbys, by airport duties, so those kind of things where you've actually not operated as much as you would probably imagine. And again, if you compare that to a 9 to 5, so you're working 5 days a week for 4 weeks in a month, so 5 times 4, 20 days in a month with 2 days off catered along that month. So actually, when you compare it, we're working a lot less as pilots, which is fantastic for us because we need that rest. We need that time off to recover, recuperate. Flying is not an easy job, and it's not for everybody either. However, if you can balance the flying, the keeping up with the knowledge, keeping up with all of that kind of side of things, the fast-paced nature of the aviation industry, then it's a fantastic job, because actually you'll find you spend a lot of time at home doing whatever you want to do, essentially, and it's fantastic. Now, I've got another few schedules which I'll go really quickly through. Now, this one is April, and I wanted to show you it because this schedule had no leave whatsoever incorporated into it. However, if you add leave, I can show you how even more effective you can plan your time, because this schedule was taken by a friend of mine, and he had leave booked in April, and as you can see, he has leave this entire week, and with the airline that he works for, you also get what are called wrap days off. So around your leave, you'll get some days off, because obviously you might be traveling, and so what they'll do is give you another couple of days to acclimatize back to the place that you were traveling from. So he was given wrap days off, and then more leave. He booked in more leave, and then this is a guaranteed day off. So the company that he works for, they allow you to take specific days off, because you're supposed to have a minimum amount of days off in a month as a pilot. But what some airlines do is they allow you to choose those days off. So in his airline, they allowed him to choose these days off. So this whole week, the first 12 days of this month, 11 days of this month, he was off. And then he had a late standby, which again is essentially he's just at home in case they need him. And then he's got 4 days of work, 3 days off, and then 3 days of work, 2 days off, and 4 days of work, 2 days off. So the first half of that month he wasn't doing anything, and then the second half of that month it was a maximum about 4 days of work, followed by 2 or 3 days off each time. And then let's tally up the amount of days off he had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 days off in the month of April, with a bit of leave mixed in. Now I'll show you an even more extreme one. This is a friend of mine, he's Muslim, and what he did was he booked leave, because he didn't use his leave most of the year, but he booked leave for Ramadan, because obviously he doesn't want to really fast whilst fly, and it's easier if you can just chunk the leave in Ramadan. And if you're a Muslim pilot, that's something I'd recommend you doing, because you can actually just find that you can focus a little bit more if you can chunk the leave in Ramadan. Now I've drafted this on my calendar so that you guys can see it, but it's fantastic, because actually what you can see in the month of March of Ramadan was essentially the first couple days. So he had a Luton to Barcelona, and then a late standby, then Luton to Charles de Gaulle, Luton to Alicante, Luton to Tenerife, Luton to Geneva, day off. However, the remainder of the month was pretty much all off, and of course that's when Ramadan starts to kick in. So he's got leave, wrap days off, leave, wrap days off, guaranteed days off, 1 day of work on the 29th, and then wrap days off. So the first part of the month, yeah, he was working a little bit. The second half of the month, he was pretty much, it was entirely up to him as to how much he worked, and he could probably have gotten even more days off during the month of Ramadan. So that's something I'd recommend you doing if you're a commercial pilot. And again, in fact, I didn't even notice this. This is part of February, so actually March comes from here, and as you can see, most of his March roster was very quiet. From the 1st of March, he only flew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. The rest of the month, 7 times. The rest of the month was days off. So, as you can imagine, that was probably a very nice month for him. especially in Ramadan, being able to just focus on the fasting and all of that stuff. So as you can see, these are 3 schedules from real pilots that are working on the line. They're not authentic schedules. I've drafted them off my Google Calendar as a rough estimate as to what to expect when flying. Of course, they may be different depending on what airline you work for, depending on how many days you want to preference, because you can preference to fly more or you can preference to fly less. You can do swaps as well with other pilots, so trading flights with other pilots if you wanted to. So your rosters are very, very flexible at times. There's also, in some airlines, fixed roster patterns, which means some airlines do it where you fly 5 days and then you have 4 days off, and then fly 5 days and then 4 days off, and that's throughout the entirety of the year for the rest of your life. If you wanted to do a fixed roster, and a lot of people like that because then you know exactly which days you're working, you know exactly which days you have off. And then you have the flexible patterns. I've shown you 3 examples of a flexible pattern, which is completely planned by a rostering department, and again, it's very variable. These schedules have been drafted up by myself, so they're not from an authentic source. However, they are very, very accurate in terms of what to expect if you are becoming a short-haul commercial pilot. And this, as I mentioned, is to provide as much value to you guys as I physically can, so that you know exactly what to expect when you decide to become a short-haul airline pilot. Of course, the long-haul airline world is a little bit different, and I can show you that in a future video, hopefully. However, this is the short-haul world. This is where you're going to start, and this is what you can expect when you start. And as you can see, it's very, very nice. You can balance your work life, home life, everything. You can balance that really, really easily. If you're worried you're never going to see your family, if you're worried that, you know, I'm not going to spend time with my kids, you're home every single day. And not only that, you get lots of days off. Look at this roster. I've literally got this whole week off. If I had any kids or anything that I needed to pick them up from school or take them to the football club, whatever I needed to do, I could do that the entirety of the week. So it's fantastic in terms of, if I had a family, then I could definitely balance that. So if you can't already tell from the video, being a pilot gives you a fantastic work-life balance. Now, I've changed the tone here. You're gonna have to excuse the background. I'm currently in my attic, and my office is being built downstairs as we speak. So I'm trying my best to hold out for now, and you guys are gonna have to do the same. I really, really apologize. Now, I have a question for you guys. I am really heavily considering doing some kind of vlog style videos. So if you want me to start doing those kind of vlog style videos, so you can see firsthand how I spend my free time, then please do me a favor, just leave a comment and I will definitely look through them and implement them. So if you want me to start doing vlog style content, let me know. But the caveat to it is that I won't be able to film any of the flying. And that's because, obviously, as you can imagine, there's social media policies that I have to adhere to. If you're interested in that, leave a comment. I'll start doing those. I'll try and do it on a weekly basis so that you guys get the videos and you get insight throughout the week. Because my day-to-day life is not that interesting, but I can get up to some interesting things throughout the week. If you're interested in that, leave a comment. For now, thank you so much for listening. I really enjoy making these videos, so I will continue to do so. All I ask in return is that you subscribe to my channel, you like the video, and you keep my engagement up, please. And then I can get to as many people as possible, reach out and help you guys in the best way I physically can. Because I have a goal of making this industry as accessible as possible. And I know that there's massive financial barriers, there's massive other barriers that I can't help with at the moment. But I know the bigger that my platform gets, then the more I can help you. So please just do me that massive favor, because I'm already trying to find solutions to those financial problems and financial restraints that you guys might have. So just do me the free favor on my part, just subscribe to my channel, just like the video, and then the bigger my platform grows, the more I can help you guys in the future. Now, that being said, thank you so much for listening, and I will hopefully see you very, very soon.